Hello everyone, and my name is Andy Chen, and welcome to my exhibition on differences and similarities of manhwa, and manga. So I'll summarize the whole wall text. So manhwa, and manga are the names of comics as well as graphic novels that are known as in China, South Korea, and Japan. They share many similarities to one another and yet many differences as well. Similarities and differences are times shared or exchanged with one another, and the artistic design and style and color schemes are the artist's own choice, but it depends on where the original source material comes from. They might need to listen to the author or the original companies depending on situations, so that really changes situations. For this exhibition, we'll present 8 different pieces of manhwa, and manga that are from East Asia, and we'll have 2 manhwas from South Korea, 3 manhwas from China, and 3 mangas from Japan. And they are around the same years. They're released around the same year, so ranging from 2013 to 2019, and very close genres with the theme of mainly adventure styles, but of course subgenres or their other genres are also with them as well, but the main focus is adventures. And let's just say the evolution of them really came around after World War II with the influences of the American comics and whatnot, but they of course have their own previous ancestral versions in which Lianhuahua was said to be the earliest version of manhwa for China, which was around 1920s and 1930s, but manhwa was also there, but just not as prominent. Of course, there was also earlier versions in the 10th century, and same thing with Japan. They have earlier versions were called the Toba Eon from the Edo period, and for Koreans it was very much a similar case, but of course World War II really sparked up the situation of where they originate from. And if you're interested in reading this wall text, you are welcome to come back. I'll just stop every 2 seconds for that. Thank you. And next one. Alright, for my exhibition layout, it's very simply designed. It's in a rectangular style room, but it's designed in a style that is very similar to what you would read at a manga panel or manhwa panel, depending on what you like to call it. So you enter through these doors. Of course, it's going to be glass doors. And as you can see here, the blues are basically windows. So later on, I'll explain to you where the window location are at. The walls are basically, when I are showing them, it's going to be removed from them. So the red areas are seatings where you can sit down and take a read from the bookshelf that is right here. But as you can see here, their introductions, their basically descriptions will be placed in these word bubbles that are on the floor, and you can go through and read through them like in manga. And the TV screens here will introduce the wall text, or you can read it from the front door. And there's also 2 other TV screens to show the animations. Most of these have actually came out with animes or their own TV shows or whatnot, but of course, if not, they will just show their commercials. The bookshelves here so you can have a sample and to read along if you are interested of any of these series. And as you can see here in this room, there's 3 pieces of work. These will basically connected with group layouts. There's going to be just a group collage right here. And as for here, this will show the action, the intensities of the situation that the scenario is taking place. So these 3 works will show either actions or tensions. As for here, this room seems dark and a little bit down to earth. This is the situation they're in. They're a little bit down and either not really depressed, but the situation is very dire. And then this is where they can exit through. So basically, you'll go from here to here to here, and then exit through a door that way. Alright, and now I will show you the actual layout. Enter through here, and as you can see, this piece and this piece along with this piece will be in the first room. And then this is the 3D layout, as you can see here. This is the second room. You will go through here, see these 2 pieces, and then go through here, and these final last 2 pieces. 3 pieces here, 2 pieces here. Alright. So our first piece, which is in our first room, will be Hiroshi Araki's JoJo Part 8. It's done with pencil, pen, marker, paint, and spray paint on an illustration board, and it is currently in Japan for all I know. But JoJo Bizarre Adventure is a series of mangas that were made in 1987, and its series is still continuing to this day. The art style of Araki is constantly changing, so if you start from the first one, you would see like many growth and stylistic changes. But for the main unchanging area is that Araki always chooses poses from models, from Renaissance sculptures and paintings, or just actual photography models. He would go through there and chose that. But the current interesting design choice is that why is there such a large humanoid figure, and why is this person so close up front compared to everyone else who's sitting behind? That is to show that he is the main character. This is his story. This is currently JoJo Part 8, Part 8. So this is the main character, and it's showing the prominence of his start. Like, this is his story. And as for the stone mask, this is where it originated from, and currently this is kind of how it's all connected to one another. So for our next part, we'll have the work of Westbound Period. It's an advertisement poster done in 2019, digital color and ink, and it's done by Zhejiang Hui and Deng Zihui. So it's basically a story of journey to the West. It's a famous tale in China, and I feel many of us have heard it, but this is one of the many variations that has come out. It's not a parody, not a satire, but an entirely different story. It's basically a half story in which takes place. What's interesting about it is that the main characters are shown from here leaving to show that they're actually heading on a journey, with each individual characters striking a pose that they're leaving town. Seems very determined to face whatever challenges that are ahead of them. We can see this man is carrying, well, this pigman is carrying his luggage as in leaving town, as we can see here for the traditional village gate that are shown below. And the color is very warm in center to show that this is the main focus point. As an advertisement poster, I feel like it has done well to attract the audience view onto the characters with the light, warm tone that it shows. Alright, and for our next one, we have the Promise to Netherland. It's a story by Kaiyu Shirai, and the art is done by Posuka Dimsui. It is a chapter 51, it's made in 2017, done in ink, marker, on paper, or in digital scan. And it's published by Shonen Jump, as most of these mangas from Japan will be published by. It will be mostly from Japan, from Shueisha. So it is a series in which monsters grow children to eat as livestock, and when these children learn the truth, they decide to fight their fate of being livestock. As you can see here, the details that are showing, like the serial code number that is shown on their neck, and as you can see here, the determination of these children who seems to be fighting fate itself. The monsters you can see are within the background, this large figure holding a butcher-like knife, but as of course you aren't able to see their faces. At the same time, the other children who aren't facing towards the light, it seems like they are still in the dark about the situation. They are unknown to the situation. So those children who are standing in front, staring at fate itself, seems to present that they are ready to challenge itself, fate itself, and they will go for freedom that's in this direction, that's showing like wind that's possibly blowing the leaves, showing them a passage. Alright, and this will be the second room. The second room is where the action tension started. So the original story of this series is done by Tang Family 3 Young. It's a pen name, of course. And the manhwa is by Mu Fengteng, and it's called the Doro Continental Atlas. This is chapter 243, and it's a digital media. In which case, it shows the actions and tensions of one of the series' many high points. Throughout the series, many of the actions are drawn in a style in which seems like an after image. Like you can see the characters showing up twice or three times, and the dragon is also showing up twice or three times throughout the series. It's because they're showing how the fast speed, the destruction, and it's focusing on action as the lines that are shown all around is making it focus on the center of the action as the explosions are happening all around. Oh, this is of course the dragon screaming. That's what it means. And this is our next one. It's God of High School. It's a webtoon done by Park Young-jae. It's volume 5 of the Ragnarok arc, and it's chapters or episode 287. It's done 2016 on digital media. So God of High School, it is a series that makes mythology with martial arts. It's of course adventure as well. The series, this whole genre and this collection is adventure based. In which case, the main character is currently facing off a demon-like deity, and you can see the tension that's building up as the water droplets are seemingly slowing down, and they are detailed as the surrounding are showing explosions, and like these giant humanoid figures that are falling from the sky really pulls in the dramatic standoff between these two. Our next one is also from webtoon. It's done by Lee Jung-hui and Sweet. It's Tower of God and 25th BAM, done in 2019, a digital media. So this Tower of Gods, it's showing a progressive growth. If we start from the beginning, you can see the artist growing his art style. But at the same time, if you're focused from here, you can really see that there is tension, there's power that's surging off the main characters. If you have seen many fantasy series, it's always these surges of lights that are drawn and grown onto the characters, in which case this character is emitting that energy that's showing off, that's coming off, and this shows growth. If you can go ahead and see like the older versions of it, you will see how much the artist has changed his art style, how much he has grown along with this series, along with how the main characters progress and power-wise. But of course, the demon horns truly show something it's like, it doesn't seem prominent, it seems more like a light fixture, but at the same time, those usually symbolizes power in a way or form. And for our final room, our third room, it's a more darkened theme. It's a little bit more sad, in which the point of the action or the story has been drawn down to line. This is done by Xu Xianze. It's The Blade of the Guardian, Chapter 92 in 2019, ink on paper and computer scan. It's done by Beijing United Publishing Co. And this series is basically a tale about the Sui Dynasty's warring period out of many of ancient China's warring period. Our main character is this man, this soldier called Daoma, and the infant that he's carrying within his arm is called Xiaoqi. It's truly a heavy scene, as the scene Daoma seems to be defeated. He's been shot in the back by multiple arrows, along with the shoulder being hit. But at the same time, this deep down, the main character just seems to be distraught. But he seems to be willing to carry on, as you can see that he is holding the child with care, holding the horse's rein with care, as well as you can see the tight grip that's drawn, and the caring way that he's caressing the child, along with how it's baggaged onto him. He's also using his cape to protect the child from the wind and the cold. So that way it shows that although defeated, he's not giving up. He's still going to continue his way protecting his child. Although if that's his goal, that's up to you to find out if you want to continue reading this. And finally, we have The Golden Kamuy, Chapter 138, done by Satoru Nada in 2017, ink on paper and computer scan, published by Shonen Jump, of course. So as you can see here, this figure, this man is getting shot at. The figure seems to be dead as his eyes are closed and his face seems to be peeled off. And from what we know, this man right here in the last panel is called by the name of Sugimoto. She's possibly screaming because this is the man that's getting shot, and he's seemingly to show that he has died, as you can see here from his eyes. The light in his eyes has disappeared once it reaches this panel, and the blood that's flying all around, and then his body laying limp in the middle of the floor. It shows that he has passed on. That's why the girl is screaming. This is actually the climax point of the Prison Break arc, in which case it's a really good arc if you're interested in reading, and it shows a tension that has never before felt in the series to the main character. And it also shows the moment of distraught, because she's been with him for a while. So if you're interested, please go ahead and read, because this does deal with a little brief history of the Russo-Japanese War, and after that in the incidents of Hokkaido and their native situation, in which the Japanese have a racial difference to the natives of Hokkaido, that they don't see them as part of the Japanese. So in which case it's interesting to take if you're interested to read. And finally, for our discussion, growing up and reading and watching and viewing many different medias that are similar to such, how do you like them? Were you more into Western style comics and graphic novels, or like the Eastern style of manhwa, and manga? And lastly, would you consider reading any of these? You guys are also welcome to ask me any questions, because I've read a ton of these over the years. And that's it. Have a nice day.